Hi everyone, Stjepan here. I came back from the Croatian Cup yesterday evening, and first of all, sorry for not recording the rest of my games. I played 2 more games while at the Cup. Sorry for not recording them and making the videos while I was there, but there was so much chaos and it was so intense that I really didn't want to spend time doing videos because I wanted to concentrate on chess. And what happened was absolutely remarkable. In the end, we ended up fighting for the first place, or the first few places indirectly, even though we were nowhere near the top half of the teams at the Cup. And in the last round, in round 6, my team faced the strongest team from Zagreb with 4 grandmasters on 4 boards. The first board was played by Zdenko Kožul, who is 2600, one of Croatia's strongest grandmasters of all time and the legend of Croatian chess. And our international master, Leon Livajic, who is 18 years old, and he's an absolutely amazing player, crushed Kožul in the Benoni. So the tournament was intense and completely crazy. In the end, we lost to Zagreb because they are a much stronger team. Leon won on board 1, and on boards 2, 3, and 4 we lost. So we were 6th in the end, and we had 8 match points out of 12. And this game that I'm about to show you is from round 4. So in the previous video, you saw my game from round 1. I lost in an ending. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. In rounds 2 and 3, I didn't play. We played with our first team setup. So Leon Livajic on board 1, I am 2470. Vujakovic and I am 23-something plays board 2. Matej, my coach, plays board 3. He's a Fide Master, 2350. And Brumen, who is also international master, plays board 4. So we have a very strong team apart from me. In rounds 2 and 3, they lost. They lost in round 2 to a very strong team, and they won in round 3 against a weaker team. And in round 4, we faced a very strong team with Grandmaster Bogdan Lalic on board 1, who is a legend of Croatian chess, and 2 international masters on board 2 and 3, and the Fide Master, who I played on board 4. And since I didn't play rounds 2 and 3, and since they were the favorites and expected to win, anyway, I ended up being on the team and I played board 4. So now when I didn't play rounds 2 and 3, I was pretty depressed when the pairings got out because I thought I'm not going to play against Medak, he's a Fide Master. And at around 11 p.m. that evening, Matej sent me a text saying, sent me a WhatsApp message saying, you should start preparing, you're playing against Medak tomorrow. And I was really happy, even though, I mean, he's 500 points stronger than I am. So I started preparing, and I saw that he plays the Pirc most of the time. Sometimes he plays the modern. And if you have seen my last league game against Markovic, I have this new system which I've studied against the Pirc with pawn to f3, pawn to g4, knight to g3, a very aggressive setup which could lead to trouble for black. So I started studying those positions once again and starting getting familiar with them. And I also saw that he plays knight c6 sometimes, so the Nimzovic defense. So I prepared for that as well. All in all, I ended up preparing until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and the next day I got up. The game is at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. I prepared until 2:30. So basically spent all of my time preparing for the game. And Medak, I should mention, is a great guy. He's one of my favorite players out there who I know. He played for my team 3 years ago when I played my first tournament there at the Croatian Cup. So he's a great guy, and I spoke to him after the game. And yeah, anyway, I sort of feel sorry for what happened because I know how he must feel, and yeah. So anyway, let's get into the game. I did play e4, he played d6, d4, and now he played g6. I was prepared for this as well. Expected knight f6, but this was okay. And I knew what I was going to play, and I didn't basically spend any time here. Bishop e3, bishop g7, queen to d2. Now he has several options. My next moves are going to be f3, knight to e2, g4, knight to g3, depending on what he does. That's my setup, which I'm trying to achieve. And here he can play several different moves. He can go for d5, c5, e5, knight to f6, c6, and there are a lot of possibilities, so I didn't really know what he was going to play. He ended up playing c5. Now I have several options. If I take here, then I lose the rook, of course. That doesn't work, but there are several options. I can play knight to f3, which is the most sensible move, definitely. Knight to f3 would lead to normal positions. But as I said, I wanted to create this lion jaw setup with pawn to f3. So I played c3. He played knight to f6, and now I played f3. And now we have this weird position with this pawn center and sort of weakening moves f3 and c3. He took on cd4, castles, and now knight to e2. You can see that my bishop is blocked on f1, but that's sort of the plan. You want to develop as soon as possible and play the move g4. So now he played a very good move. I think he played knight to c6 because he knows, of course, these setups. He's a very strong player. So he played knight to c6. Usually you play knight to d7. The difference is now that if I play g4, the main threat is g5, and then the main problem for black is that the knight has to choose between e8 and h5. And now, of course, since the knight is on c6, once I play g4, g5, the knight can simply go to d7 and actually influence the center in a very good way and be a good piece. So this was a good move. I played g4 anyway, and here he played b5, and I took a lot of time analyzing this position. Of course, playing the move such as knight to g3, which is my main plan and the most sensible move, could fail because my pawn is incredibly weak, and then let's say knight to g3. He plays knight to d7 immediately. How do I defend? I could really be in trouble now, and I need to be careful. So I took a lot of time and decided to play knight to a3 to c2 to defend my pawn. And this does give him a tempo with b4, but I thought that my knight was best on c2, also defending the e3 square. And if an exchange ever happens on d4, then my knight can come to e2, reinforcing the g3 knight, reinforcing the f4 square. So after a long think, I played knight to a3. He thought for a while and played b4, knight c2. Now he played a5, which I was happy about. My main concern in this position was knight a5, knight c4, where I either have to give up my light-squared bishop or play b3. b3 is fine, but still it takes time to play b3. Once he played a5, I was a bit more happy because now it's not that easy to play knight a5. So I played g5. Knight d7, h4. Once again, if I play the move knight to g3 immediately, then that could be trouble, and the d4 pawn could be weak. So yeah, I wanted to play h4 first because now I want to play h5. And of course, knight to g3 isn't that strong because the knight is not on h5. And now it makes more sense to open up the position with h4, h5. Knight b6, and now this was his plan after knight d7, of course, looking at the c4 square. And now I need to defend this square. If he manages to get into c4, then I lose my dark square bishop and I'm basically worse. So I can either play b3 or knight to g3. I ended up playing knight to g3 because, of course, now I can defend with the bishop. Knight c4 is not possible, and knight to g3 was a move I wanted to play anyway. And here I got into trouble. d5, and now I have a very important decision to make. I spent a long time here. Ended up playing the move b3. Reinforcing c4. The most logical move, e5, I think would fail. Because after e5 seemingly blocking out his bishop and reinforcing my center, he has the very strong knight c4, and if I don't take, I don't know what I play. I mean, perhaps queen to c1 and then b3 is possible, giving up my bishop, but I don't really want to do that. But after e5, if he plays knight c4 and they take it, then I think my position is just losing. These 3-2 pawns are very strong and my center is crumbling. I'm just going to be too weak. Okay, so after d5 I played the move b3, expecting his next move e5. And now I need to be really careful. Firstly, I need to reinforce the d4 square, and I need to bring my pieces into play. Ideally, I also want to start my attack with h5. And the main idea with this position, once you play knight e2 to g3, is to play the move queen to h2. After queen to h2, you already have very strong threats. So I played rook to d1 first, trying to reinforce the center, and here he played queen to c7. Queen to c7 is a very strong move. After e takes d4, he's threatening to take my knight with check, and in many positions he can also move his knight from c6 and put pressure on c2 because my knight is loose. So I thought that the best defense was queen to h2. Firstly, because it defends my g3 knight, and secondly, because it's the attacking move I want to play anyway. And here I'm worse. I'm definitely worse because he has the move bishop to e5, which I saw before queen to h2, but I still thought that queen h2 was my best option. So e takes d4. I have to take with the knight. I think if I take with the bishop, then I lose one of my main defenders. And I'm also, there are some tricks with queen to c3 check where I lose my knight, or I lose something, I don't know, perhaps this bishop. It was very hard to calculate the position, but I figured that knight to d4 has to be the best move despite bishop e5, because I saw that from d4 my knight can go to e2, reinforcing the g3 knight, which was part of the plan of knight a3, knight c2. So knight takes d4, bishop e5 as expected, and knight d to e2. And here we come to a critical position in which Bojan Medak was much better, even winning, I think. And I think he was winning. The move is, of course, d4, and after d4 I'm in serious trouble. I cannot go bishop d1 or bishop c1 because he can simply play the move d3. If I ever move my knight, then I lose my queen with check. So let's say my knight isn't here, he can take here with check and win my queen. So the move d4 would mean that I have to play bishop to f2, and still I think he can play d3 if I take. I think he can simply continue with the move rook here and try to put pressure on my king, which is basically indefensible. And this pin is very annoying. The king on e1 is very unsafe, and the position is hard to play. After knight d to e2, however, he played a move after which I felt so happy, and I knew that I cannot mess this up, this position, and the position just got very good for me. He took a pawn. He took d takes e4, and now the position is busted for black. Of course, I don't recapture. I play the move f4, and now I get rid of the pin after bishop h8. And the position is just, I cannot explain the feeling which I felt after f4, bishop h8. It was a feeling, oh, I can win this game. What happens if I defeat a Fide Master? It's like in a video game when you do something, you accomplish something, and then it goes. I really don't know how to explain the feeling, but I started sweating, and then I thought, okay, calm down, you didn't win yet. It is good for white, but try to remain concentrated. And luckily I did. So now the point is that I'm simply going to open up the h file and have so much pressure on h7 that his pieces are going to have to be locked down. So what ended up playing was h5 immediately. He played rook to a7. If he doesn't play rook to a7, let's say he plays something stupid, let's say rook to e8, then the problem is after I take, he of course cannot take with the h pawn because it's checkmate. He has to take with the f pawn, and now I can play bishop takes b6. The queen cannot take because queen h7 is checkmate. So rook to a7 after h5 was a very necessary move, because now if I take, he can take with the f pawn, bishop b6, queen b6, the rook is defending h7. I took on g6 anyway, f takes g6, and now I had a long think, because this is the point at which you are better, you have very strong attack. In many positions which I saw, I could win the exchange, but I thought that I have something better. And I found the move bishop to g2, and I figured that the threat of bishop e4, bishop g6 was indefensible, and also this check from e4 to d5, if I manage to check the king on d5, then it's going to be game over in most positions. So I played the move bishop to g2, which I thought was very strong. He played rook to e8, and now I was expecting bishop e4, rook e4, which I saw was the only defense. I took on e4, and he played bishop f5, and now he is losing. The game is lost. I took, I don't know what time I had left, I think about 15 or 20 minutes. I took most of it here, and I calculated the variation and all the possibilities correctly. thank you. I mean, and I was thankful that I was able to do that. And luckily, I ended up calculating everything correctly, which rarely happens. And I think it's because I solved a lot of tactics recently, and I saw everything, and it was okay. So knight takes f5. Still best is, I think, to take the bishop, but then I have knight h6 check, and the variation is very complicated, and I'm also much better. But he took g takes f5, and now it's simply over because I have a tactic. So the tactic is bishop takes b6, luring the queen away from the 7th rank. And the point of that is the double attack on the knight with queen to h6. Now the point is, since he didn't take the bishop after queen takes b6, I have bishop d5 check. The only square for the king is f8, so king f8. Queen h6 check. The only defense is either bishop here or rook here, and he played bishop g7. And now I take queen takes c6, winning the knight, and that's it, just a piece up. He doesn't have any threats. He played queen to e3, which was a tricky move. If I played the move rook to h2, then queen g1 is annoying. If I play rook to d2, then I might even lose the game after bishop to c3. It's really hard to defend, so rook d2, bishop c3, threatening checkmate once again. And if I then play rook h2, then queen g1 is checkmate. So I, of course, played the correct move, bishop c4, and now he doesn't have anything. He played rook a to e7, and the finishing move of the game, which I played after which he resigned, was queen to d5. Queen d5 threatens checkmate on g8. If he defends with rook e7, then I take on f5, and it's winning, basically. I'm going to win everything. The best move, I think, is queen to e6, and yeah. He doesn't have anything here. If he takes queen e2, bishop e2, rook e2, king f1, he doesn't have any tricks. I'm just going to win. So in this position, he resigned, and I cannot explain the feeling which I felt after the game. And what ended up happening, Leon drew GM Bogdan Lalic on board 1, and Matej won on board 2 against an international master. It was a draw on board 3, and I won on board 4, so we defeated a much higher rated team 3-1, which was incredible. And yeah, this is my highest win so far, and probably the only win against a serious chess player. I was losing at one point, but I think that I had a plan which I managed to force through, and what I wanted to happen before the game actually happened, which I think is an accomplishment. So yeah. The next day, I played in round 5 as well. I'm going to record that game tomorrow, and I'll okay, never mind. I'll show you the game tomorrow. It was a great game. So yeah, it's extremely exciting game, and I just want to say that before the tournament, I had a goal of reaching 1900. I finally surpassed that rating, and now my next goal is to reach 2000 until the end of August, and I will be playing a lot of tournaments. I will be playing 5 tournaments until the end of August, so let's hope I can manage that. Yeah, this game was 3 days ago, and I still cannot believe what happened. So anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you liked the game. Let me know what you think, and stay tuned for more chess. Bye bye.